Check the mic and make sure it sounds right.
So what's up everyone? Welcome back to the group chat brought to you by Overmark. I'm your host Darrell and today with me is Xin Wei. Today we're going to be talking about a pretty interesting concept. Xin Wei, maybe you just want to share like what's the scope of our discussion today?
No, it's just we like Darrell and I were kind of just like looking at the news, and then we just saw something that is like closer to what I guess it's kind of related to us because it happens in school. Basically, like there's this counsellor in Hwa Chong Institution who had like presented content that is kind of not just discriminatory but also forced, like about LGBT content to the whole school community. Yeah.
So
and we thought
so we thought they wanted to just talk about it. So for those who are not like aware of this incident, maybe we can just do a very brief rundown of what actually happened. So basically, I think it was a sex ed class, and during the presentation, he made a lot of like discriminatory claims. I think like what Xin Wei said, some of the claims were just downright not true. So this is not, I mean, we're not just pinning it to Hwa Chong or whatsoever, because it is the action of a single staff member. And I think, luckily, I think the students that were there were also, I mean, of course, I think many were angered, but thankfully, I don't think there was like any like big incident out of it. So we just wanted to discuss this also from the angle of such behavior. I think such behavior, because I think everybody is entitled to their view kind of thing. So we also don't want to like outright say, oh, this is wrong, this is what. But I think it's also more of like information that's false should not be presented in that sense.
Yeah.
So I think there was quite a big thing in the community, because obviously this kind of thing should not be tolerated, and that must not be tolerated. And I think it's right to call out on such behavior. So I thought that today we just wanted to share more of just our viewpoint, not to stir more shit up, but just to share, I think, how do we approach such situations? Because I believe this is not the first and it will not be the last. But I think growing together as like a society, as an individual, how do we move forward with such perspective? Xin Wei, maybe just for yourself, when you first heard of this incident, what's the first thing that came to your mind?
I think I was very angry because I think a counselor is supposed to be like probably the safest person you can go to in a school, supposedly lah. And basically this happened in the secondary school section, so Hwa Chong Institution, to the Sec 4s, like during their assembly. So I think it's those kind of assembly. I mean, we all have like those assemblies that are sexual education. Basically, that's what the Sec 4 students are having. And I think like Sec 4 age means it's about 16 years old. And I think those are the age where you are forming your identity and you are like also looking for who you are. And at time like that, you probably like turn to the counselor for help if there is like very difficult questions that are bothering you. But I feel like that very person that you can trust failed the school. And so I was very angry, and I cannot believe that he was just reprimanded but not fired. But that's another thing. But yeah, I think but I think like what you mentioned, I think the community had a lot like very strong responses, and a lot of ex-Hwa Chong students came out to like post a lot of things. And I'm sure like there will be one or two people who were sitting there, or I mean maybe even a few who are sitting there who are probably gay. And yeah, I just feel bad for them because they probably like felt very attacked as well.
I mean, for me, when I first heard the news, strangely enough, I wasn't even like that shocked, like I felt that, that is like something that I strongly believe. I mean, a lot of this might be hidden. Maybe we don't hear about it or we don't see it, but they are happening, like such discriminatory practices. And I'm not holding it just to maybe this counselor's his take on LGBTQ.
Yeah.
I think it might span across other issues regarding maybe discriminatory behavior in many other places beyond just one's gender and stuff. So I think that there like such practices, especially in school and in the education environment, is very uncalled for. So I have no idea how he's allowed to do this. I mean, at basic, shouldn't there be at least like some form of like cross-checking or something
Yeah.
like in place to ensure that such nonsense don't happen? So to me, while I was like, what the hell, like, is this still a thing in 2022? And like, but then I also wasn't shocked because I knew that such behavior and such mindset would still be prevalent in certain segments of our society lah. So I think rather than talking about like for me, right, rather than talking about
This
how
incident.
this incident, I think I would like to just take this chance to segue. I think I want to talk about something a bit more, not say upbeat, but something more. I think the good side of this, not say the good side. There's nothing good out of this. The how we should
But
deal
what
with
we can learn, what we can learn
yeah,
from
yeah,
this
exactly. So
incident.
what can we take away from this? So I think something that I always like to share is that sometimes you can't really control what other people do and what other people say, right? Or how other people feel even, right? Because that's them, right? So while they might be doing something that strongly goes against your value, I think in the case of a lot of the students, I felt that the energy was channeled in the right direction, in the sense that they were like, there's like, okay, I shouldn't accept this, but I'm glad that like there wasn't any like direct confrontation to escalate the whole situation. I thought it was good I saw one Reddit post that I really liked, which was this student was insane. I don't know whether it's a student or whoever. He actually went to do research, article by article, using real scientific research to refute every single statement.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, wow, this is the kind of effort that we actually need to, counteract such false claims that shouldn't have existed in the first place. From what I understand, right, that thread was actually more of a meme. I think people were sending in memes and like fake, like it's supposed to be a mockery, it's like a satire of all of the misunderstanding about LGBT community.
Yeah.
But I think the counselor just went to take those and ran it as real facts, which is like ridiculous, like if you think about it.
Yeah.
And some of the numbers that were talked about is just outright
It's
ridiculous.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, like me and Sing were talking pre-pod, like what are some of the things he said, and we are like, seriously, are you like, do you even have like common sense? Okay?
Yes, I know,
Yeah.
right?
So as I was saying, I think the good side is that I saw that some people actually fought this kind of discriminatory views in the right manner, and I think I do want to commend this group of students, and I think the overall support that's given, I'm really happy is moving in the right direction. Personally, I don't have a very strong view on LGBTQ. For me, it's just like everybody just live your own life. As long as you're happy, it's fine. So I mean, there are people that might have different view. I do respect other people's view, but to me, it's like I do feel quite I don't feel that strongly about the issue. That's just me. But I'm upset over the way how one human being could view and treat other human beings. That's the part that I feel like I think it's not really right lah. So Xin Wei, for you, right, if you yourself was caught in such a situation, right, how do you think you would behave? Like, what do you think is the right response?
Maybe if I'm I guess if I'm the student there, I think it would when I'm 16, I mean it's an assembly lah. Maybe it's harder. But if it's a class, I think I would actually openly challenge it. But I think that's beside the point. I think for students who are, the students who are listening to this podcast is around the age of 16, who kind of like have to sit through this ridiculous assembly. But I think if anything, like I think other people say it quite well, that a lot of Hwa Chong alumni came out to speak about this issue, and a few of them were gay, and a few of them are gay, and they are definitely not the person that the counselor painted, homosexual people to be. And I think if anything, I want the students who are confused, or who know that they are gay but afraid, because I think if it comes from official source, they're like what Darrell said, they're bound to be people who just dislike this community, And I think that's fine. I mean, very unwillingly, I would say that's fine. But if you were to take actions to hurt this community, I think that's a very, very different story. Or even, and not even action, maybe post a random comment. Even one word, I think is good enough to hurt a community. And I think that is already that is the line where we draw that dislike. You can dislike them, but you can keep it in whatever, like just keep it in you lah. Like, you don't have to tell people that you don't like them. I think in this case, I just want the students to know that but even when there are so many people who are, you know, against the LGBTQ community, but there are also a lot of people supporting them, and your life should be a despite them instead of because of them. Like, you don't have to care so much about these people.
Yeah, I mean, for those out there who belongs to the LGBT community, I can't really give advice because I haven't been through the experience. So I don't think either of us are qualified to be talking about how to deal with it and stuff, because honestly, we haven't been through the situation. I think the most we can say is that we do feel that it is a pity that, you know, people still have to go through such discriminatory behavior, that you have to experience that, and I'm truly sorry for it. But I think, like what Xin Wei say, you know, some things, like I always like to put it, what's inside our control and what isn't, right? And I also feel that if anything, I hope that, you know, the friends, right? So if you know that somebody is struggling because of this incident, maybe just be there for them, talk to them, just be an extra support pillar that they can lean on in such times. Like I said, this probably won't be the last time, right? But I think moving forward, I'm just hoping that calling out more of such incidents would really get people to just reflect more deeply on such behavior that shouldn't exist in today's day and age. And I think beyond anything, I feel that I mean, this is gonna be digressing a little bit, but I mean, like, what the hell is he talking about during sex ed class, man? Like, how is this sex ed? Like, that is, like, to me, something that I don't get at all.
Oh, actually, I think this is considered
Is it?
sexual education. Yeah, I think so. Of course, sexuality, it is. I think it falls under sex ed. Like,
Oh,
sexuality does falls under sex ed lah. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, based on my own experience or what I experienced in sex ed in secondary school, was just a joke lah. I mean,
I don't think. Basically, I think he didn't follow the MOE syllabus, which is fine. I think it's fine. I mean, as a tutor, I also don't want to only follow MOE syllabus. I think that's fine, because MOE syllabus, like what you say, is a joke. Those sex ed is a joke. I think sexuality, in fact, is a worthy sex ed topic. And
I think it should be a conversation, if anything.
Yeah, it is a worthy education topic. Like, even if all these people are straight AF, like hetero AF, but you know, it's good to learn about other community what. But I just think, like, he just did it the worst way possible.
Yeah, and if anything, I don't think it should reflect on the school or the general population. It's just one man's view. But like what Xin Wei said, I think it's just the way it was handled maybe could have been better. I do think, if anything, he should offer an apology to
right.
right. I think that is the minimum. Like reprimanded is like, okay,
Well,
like, he stay in the principal's office and kind of scolded. Are you serious? Like, I don't know, man. But I mean, I didn't do a very deep research on this, but I think that's just my view on how it could have been dealt with. So, any last thoughts on this incident and moving forward? What do you think would be good?
I think hopefully this is the last, but even if it's not like not such a large scale, you probably, like, in general like, you'll still probably hear a lot of, like, this kind of, like, hateful comments, or like just people who are high profile enough to make a very unnecessary comment. No choice, like, right? I feel like just gotta, like, we can of course we're gonna show, like, we're gonna show support for the community. We're gonna, like, comment, like, we're gonna say that no, this is not correct, this is not true. But I think most importantly, for whoever is, like, affected, just, like, find your own community. Like, because I think to me the very fact that this person is a counselor just makes me very, very upset, because like, like you probably turn to counselor if anything, like they'll probably ask you to go for counselor. How many people have turned to him? Maybe they are like lost, they're like not sure of their sexuality, and they go and find counselor. And this person, basically, he also showed a conversion therapy video, which is like, no, like that's not how, you don't treat this kind of thing. So I think like find the person that you trust, like if you ever encounter this kind of people, just go and find someone else that you trust.
Yeah, for me, if there's any last advice out there for anybody who are not just struggling with gender issues, I think with issues in general, I think never be too hard up on yourself. If you feel a certain emotion, you feel a certain way, I think that's perfectly fine. I think it's just something that you really need to learn to accept and then internalize it, and then, let it be part of you. I think the most painful thing anybody can do to themselves is to not be themselves, right? In any capacity, whether it's this issue that we're talking about or other issues that you might be struggling with emotionally or like stress-wise and stuff. I think acknowledging how you feel is a very important first step. I think that self-awareness itself is so underrated. Of course, there might be societal pressure and like whatever prejudice that exists, but I think nothing should stop you from being your true self and, of course, being happy with yourself. In fact, most people who are genuinely happy are actually very contented and they know themselves very well. I think that is something that I like to bring across as a message of, learning to love yourself for who you are, right? Don't just look elsewhere and say that, oh, I want to be like that, or I'm supposed to behave like that. Sometimes it's about embracing who you are, you're true to your nature, as long as you don't do harm to anybody else, right? I think that's where you draw the line, right? Which is like, okay, if I'm not hurting anybody and I'm not like negatively impacting anybody, I'm supposed to be free the way I'm supposed to be. So I think for those of you up there who are struggling with gender crisis, you have thoughts on this, I think just learn to accept who you are. I think that's the very first step. Even for the rest who are struggling with other issues, I think learning to acknowledge how you feel is super important. So always give yourself the space to experience those emotions, internalize it, and then move forward from there. I think that's the correct way and the beautiful way to experience life as it is. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. I think that's the most important message here. So I think with that, this episode wasn't meant to be very detailed, and I don't think we had that many like things to share as well. We're just sharing our opinions on the incident and maybe how to look at the whole issue. But if you did enjoy listening into our little chat, please remember to like the video. All right, that will help get the video spread to more people. Remember to subscribe for more episodes in the future, and we'll see you in the next podcast. Bye, everyone.
It sound right, boy.